Hey everybody, I was going to go live, but I realized I didn't have internet, so I'm just here on the pier. I'm a poet and I didn't know it, now I do. Of the Bosphorus Straits, here on the edge of Istanbul, Kadikoy district, there is the 150-year-old train station that they're renovating. Looks amazing, so can't wait for when that gets opened. And then across there you have the European side on the skyline where we've got the sunset going on, and a whole bunch of people here just chilling out, watching the sunset and just taking in the views and the water and the space and the emptiness. Imagine a city full of 15 million people. You know, people are searching for places to come where they can breathe oxygen, where they can have space, appreciate a bit of vastness, and generally just take a breath in, right? So anyway, I wanted to tackle more of this concepts of the Kundalini and also Joe Dispenza's work, because I think it's really, really important to get our heads around all of this. And I made a video yesterday, it was a live, where I talked about my inspiration of Joe Dispenza and how I tracked him through the years and found his work just really, really penetrating my being, because it's really about this consciousness and what we can do with consciousness, right? So fast forward 15 years on, and I'm now really exploring this with my own work and with helping others connect with their own deepest experience of consciousness, and to make shifts, like massive shifts in their reality, in their lives, in the way they show up in the world. And ultimately it's about having this sense of purpose, peace, and knowing where we're accessing that 5D unity consciousness state and living in it, right? That's the new earth. That's, you know, what the ascension process is all about, really, is embodying it fully, living in our highest frequency. And so what Joe Dispenza has done with his work is put this all in a format that is logical, that has explanations, which is measured and tested and credible to the Western mind, to the mind that is in need of evidence and proofs that consciousness has an effect on the body, consciousness has an effect on our health and everything else. And so what you're getting in these 7-day intensives that Joe Dispenza is putting on is that people are having spontaneous remissions of chronic terminal conditions, right? And yes, right, I'm not going to say the words because sometimes those words are censored on the internet, but you know what we're talking about here. We're talking about, oh, I've got 4 months to live, doctor says I've got 4 months to live kind of scenarios. And people are having spontaneous remissions, which means that they're getting healed and they're becoming healthy and they're curing whatever that affliction was. And so, you know, if that isn't game changing, I don't know what is, guys. I really don't know what is. But you know, when you've been around the world and been as long as in the game of exploring the mysteries of the universe as I have, and a lot of my friends and mentors have, you know, it starts to get more obvious what's going on, and the palpable effects of consciousness and how everything is frequency. Ultimately it's vibration and frequency, and so the more that we can raise our frequency, the more that we can have a vibration which is life affirming, which is loving, which is kind, which is considerate, but also boundaried in the sense of putting stops and having no's to things that are not healthy and toxic. Then the more that we can actually thrive, right? Because it's like the removing the illusion, removing the density, removing the toxicity and the impurities. And purification is the name of the game here. And you know, first came across this terminology, like say 15 years ago, of purification. I thought it's cool, interesting, but I couldn't totally see how it all fits in with everything else. And of course, it's the same thing as rarefication, rarefying, right? You rarefy your energy, your field, your frequency, your thoughts. You become more pure. Right? So more meditation, more prayer, more connection with nature, more loving service, more kindness brings about these shifts and these changes, which of course, what do? Well, they help you release all the suffering. They help you release the misery programming. They help us release the resistance to love, to light, to inspiration, to living unity consciousness. And we get those impurities out, right? And some people use ayahuasca, plant medicines to do that. Other people use rituals, ceremonies, tobacco, healing modalities, prayer, meditation, mind work, mantra work, etc. There's many different ways you can do this. And you just got to find what your particular flavor is and what your particular joy is, right? Because one of those things, or a combination of those things, is going to give you the most expanded state of consciousness, the most joy, the most bliss, the most alignment, the most embodiment, the most excitement, and you will know about it, right? Because you'll be like, I'm living my best life, I am feeling electric, I am making massive shifts, and that's when you know you're right on the money, you're right over the target. Okay, so it's really this game of working through all this stuff and doing the journey, being on the hero's journey, questing, being present as well, right? Literally being present in the body now. So all that somatic work, that's a lot what that is all about, because the body never lies, the body's a mirror of the soul, by the way. But don't take anything I say for granted, check it out for yourself, be your own scientist. Direct experience is the best way, because otherwise how can you really know? You only really know when you know now, and now is the experience of now, of your reality now. Yes, of course, there's also this innate knowing, right? But it's always now, it's never anywhere else, right? So have something to think about. Okay, so now circling back to Joe Dispenza's work, he's offering this wonderful knowledge and this wonderful system of work where basically anyone can kind of grab onto it. Yes, you've got to come up with a few $1,000s to, go to the place and do the thing with the people and with the Mr. Joe, and that's all good, right? But then what do you do if you don't have that time? You can't make that commitment. Maybe you don't have those financial resources. Well, there are other ways, right? Which is literally praying, literally purification practices, literally clearing statements, literally embodying, dancing, being ecstatic, being in the now, connecting with nature, connecting with animals, being love, hugging, breathing, breath work. Breathing is free, guys, it's free. Oh my god. Dancing, meditating, yoga, tai chi, qigong. So many different modalities, so many different ways, so many paths. It's the same destination, which is always here and now, never anywhere else. Kind of a paradox in a way, but bear with us. So the Kundalini work, again, building on other videos I've made just around the Kundalini. We're talking about this energy superhighway through the central nervous system, the spinal column, which by the way is waves and curvy. Now, isn't that interesting? The curvular nature of the spine. What does that even say, right? About reality, about the way energy moves, waves. I'm here right on the water. What do you see? Little waves, little curves, and all of that good stuff, spirals and crests of water. So we've got this Kundalini energy and we need to open it, we need to unblock it. All right, so what's in the way of the Kundalini energy flowing, the serpentine energy, the living light, the living truth, the flow consciousness? What's in the way of that, Jody? Well, I'll tell you what my experience is, and maybe that'll resonate with you. What's in the way of this serpentine living love, living truth, living light, consciousness flow energy is beliefs, limiting beliefs, ideas about yourself, about reality, about consciousness that are limitations. Okay, which is maybe, it might be simply I am separate. Right? So it's a belief, it's an idea, it's limitation. Now, you can check that out if it's true or not. And I encourage you to do that. I do that every day, actually. I ask that question every day. Is there separation? And invariably, my answer is no. There is no separation. Because that's what I find in the depth of my consciousness, in the now, in the present moment, in the now, always in the now. There is no separation. And so imagine if you can live from that place of no separation. Right? Imagine what's available to you, what possibilities, what potentiality life offers, what infinity of experience life holds when you're living in that reality. All right? Again, I don't ask you to take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. What is the truth of the reality that you exist in? And so limiting beliefs, that's one. Ideas, it's another one. Finite ideas. Trauma, childhood trauma, ancestral trauma, blocks in your energy field, parasitic consciousness, entities, all of that stuff, affecting your mood, your energy health, your well-being. What else could be? It literally impurities in your system, toxins in your system, right? Because you have a body, you put things in that body, and some of them don't help it work well. And they inhibit that work, right? And so in this increasingly systemized and commodified culture where food production is increasingly, again, automated and mass produced, there are all these chemicals that come with that. And on the whole, the majority of those chemicals are toxic in some level for our cells, for our DNA, for our systems, and so that helps not your body work, and so for your consciousness to work. And so we need to optimize that body as well, right? So that's also part of this work. We also, talking about the body again, we have emotional blockages, right? So and these show up in our centers, in our energy centers, right? And this affects the flow of the Kundalini. So when we release emotions, when we let free flow of emotion, that energy of emotion is movement going out to go through us, then we are free from it and we are feeling a lot better. But again, don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. Be your own scientist. How does it feel to repress and hold on to emotion? How does it feel to button yourself up, to bottle up, versus to allow tears to flow? Healthy expression of anger, perhaps, or creative expression of this colors and this life force coming out through us, sound and everything else, the authentic self-expression of that. So when we do that, when we share in what is coming through us, then we cease to be the resistance. We become the path of least resistance. We become the instrument of flow, okay, which is a wonderful place to be, because we're no longer in that separation, we're no longer in that holding, we're no longer in that resistance. We are the flow, right? We are the light, literally. And so again, don't take my word for it, check it out for yourself. Allowing that to come through. So we can just do that by just like literally allowing the breath, allowing that breath, being present to it, seeing what happens there. And so there are multiple ways to do this. And so with the Kundalini work, what we're actually doing and what we're doing in this mentorship, which I wanted to chat about, because it's something that's happening right now, and there's a chance for you to get involved and get in if it's resonant for you and right for you, if it's something you want to work with actively, is this flow consciousness and this Kundalini, because we're going to be really, and we are really going on a deep dive journey with this, letting go of all illusions, all separation, all limiting ideas and limiting beliefs around who we are and what we are, that stop our Kundalini, our life force energy, our electromagnetic frequency, our power flow. So that's what we're doing. We're allowing that flow. We're allowing that flow. And magic and miracles and spontaneous healing happen when we allow and embody that flow in its highest level. Right? And that is exactly what happens in the Joe Dispenza's retreats and courses. That's what happens. People are allowing their energy to flow. Directly working with the consciousness. Allowing it. And it has physiological changes that are measurable. And that's what Joe Dispenza is specializing in particularly, is all of that stuff, right? The measurements and everything show you what's going on. Yes, that person had a remission of terminal illness, and by the way, this is what it looks like, literally in the figures and the numbers and the statistics and all of that stuff, the measurements and testimonials are plenty and all of that stuff. So that's what we're working with the diamond heart, and so when the diamond heart terminology is really about the higher heart, which is traditionally where the soul has been located, right? In the ancient Greek understanding in philosophy and mystery schools, and I believe Egypt as well. And it's the thymus, it's where the thymus gland is. It's the higher heart, and this is really the diamond heart, and it's the the real compassion, real loving kindness place. And you may feel it activated when you hug someone, when you feel a lot of love. You may feel your higher heart area activated. So we're working consciously and directly with that. And it's also the blue lotus frequency as well. So this is something really interesting that I got involved with recently, is working with the blue lotus. I work with it most days. It is a very, very beautiful, powerful, activating, high-level frequency. And it's very much this sense of again, this compassion, love, and activation. And it's also opening us up more and more when we tune in to these frequencies, right? And these different rays. I mean, you may or not have heard of that, the different rays of consciousness, which also very much talks about that, the color and the light and that frequency. And so this is all part of the journey, and so with the actual mentorship itself, the meat on the bones with all of this is all this deep work that we do, right? It's the embodiment work, the awakened belly dance work with Katie Holland, who's assisting in the mentorship, and in a big way, by the way, bringing her incredible work and light and frequency, clearing statements, ancestral clearing, removal of soul contracts, different dynamics of our spectrum of consciousness that we're working with, the 5 elements, earth, air, fire, water, and ether, personal symbology, myth, archetype, hero's journey, creativity, unblocking, authentic self-expression, the ancient mysteries, when we're talking about metaphysics and Egypt, for example, all of that stuff is included as well. We're doing all of that, but really it's it's this inner work that's knowing ourselves. The body is the mirror of the soul, knowing where we are and what's in the way, right? What the illusions are, and removing those illusions so we can just live in the pure real, hang out in the pure real, where joy is the note and we are full spectrum. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, come along in, message me interested, or comment on this video, I'm interested, and we'll have a little call. I'll give you some details about the whole thing. These are the last days that we're open, really, and before we're fully closing it down, because obviously we need a safe, clear container to work with the group, and we can't have more people joining in the 3rd month or whatever it is, because it just gets out of control. So yes, I'm Jody Dean, spiritual coach, purpose alignment mentor, and yes, so if you feel frequency of interest, of excitement about this, then just send a message. Let us know. If you feel that resonance, you either do or you don't. It's totally fine either way for me, whether you're interested or not. Maybe this isn't the right time for you, or maybe it is, or maybe there's a voice in your mind saying, wow, they're skeptical, whatever. And it's just about tuning in, what your gut is saying, what your heart's saying, what your inner knowing is saying, and your intuition. And that's also another big piece of what we're doing with this mentorship, is the intuitive, right? Really working with the intuitive, with the right brain, with the divine feminine, as well as divine masculine as well, massively. But it's very much this integrated human, and creating the light leaders and supporting and nurturing the light leaders of the new earth, of the 21st century. All right.